Hey guys, great to see you, Doutzé. These are moments when charm took a wrong turn and ended up in the archives of regret.
Love makes people do crazy things, and these people did the kind you need a permit for. 1. The confidence is key. Guy who brought a literal key. There's bold. And then there's walking up to a stranger at Starbucks holding a 2-foot golden key from Home Depot and saying, "Hey beautiful, I brought the key to your heart." He even jingled it for dramatic effect, like a magician introducing a rabbit trick. The girl stared at him the way you'd look at someone auditioning for a restraining order, but he kept going. "No, seriously," he said, "this is symbolic." Symbolic of what? Unpaid rent. Eventually, the barista called out, "Double espresso for Key Guy," and that became his name forever. The best part? He left the key behind. So now it just hangs on the lost and found wall, a shining monument to misplaced confidence and romantic hardware store symbolism. The moral: if your flirting involves props, it's not love, it's community theater. 2. The guy who quoted Shakespeare. Wrong nothing says romance like butchering 16th century English in the middle of Applebee's. This hero decided to impress his date by reciting Shakespeare, except his version went, "Shall I compare thee to a summer breeze? Thou art more moisturized." Not a single word of that exists in any known play, but he powered through, even snapping his fingers like he'd just dropped a mic. His date, visibly questioning every life choice that led to this moment, asked which play that was from. He confidently replied, "Romeo and Cleopatra." At that point, even the waitress refilled her own drink just to survive the awkwardness. The date ended with him saying, "I just wanted to sound deep." Mission accomplished. He sounded like the Mariana Trench. Lesson: if you're quoting Shakespeare to sound smart, at least make sure it's not fan fiction. 3. The man who tried to serenade a girl in a parking lot. Romantic gestures are great, unless they involve a boombox, bad weather, and trespassing charges. Inspired by every 80s movie ever, one guy stood outside a girl's apartment blasting, "I want to know what love is" at 2 a.m. Problem: she didn't live there anymore. The new tenants did, a retired couple who called the cops halfway through the chorus. When police arrived, he tried to explain it was a grand romantic gesture. They agreed, grand in scale, poor in execution. The story hit local news under the headline, "Man mistakes wrong balcony, finds wrong audience." The next morning, the girl texted him, "You could have just sent a meme." Moral of the story: what worked for John Cusack in the movies gets you a noise complaint in real life. 4. The guy who tried to accidentally run into his crush 12 times. Some people believe in fate. This guy believed in GPS tracking. After matching with a girl on a dating app, he decided to let the universe bring them together by checking her Instagram stories for location tags and just happening to bump into her at a farmer's market, a bookstore, and then, weirdly, a dentist's office. By the 12th coincidence, she finally said, "Wow, you're everywhere." And he proudly replied, "Guess we're meant to be." "No, buddy, you're meant to be on a watch list." When she blocked him, he posted a sad TikTok about modern love being broken. No, modern love's fine. Your sense of boundaries isn't. Moral: if your love story sounds like the trailer for a true crime documentary, maybe skip the accidental encounters and just send a text. 5. The man who tried to flirt. Using Morse code. Some guys send flowers. This man sent dots and dashes. He worked with his crush at an office and thought it would be cute to tap Morse code messages on his desk. The problem? She didn't know Morse code. So, for weeks, she thought he was just nervously drumming his fingers like a caffeinated woodpecker. When she finally asked what he was doing, he proudly said, "I was spelling your name." She replied, "Why?" He didn't have an answer. He tried to demonstrate, tapping furiously until his coffee spilled, and then got written up by HR for excessive noise during work hours. The moral? If your romantic strategy requires a telegraph machine, you're not being mysterious. You're being an unsolved puzzle no one wants to decode. 6. The smooth talker who used a job interview line on a date. There's confidence. And then there's treating your date like she's hiring you. This guy sat down at dinner, shook her hand firmly and said, "Thanks for meeting with me today. I'm excited about this opportunity." She thought he was joking, but he wasn't. He proceeded to list his skills, including teamwork, adaptability, and proficiency in Microsoft Excel. When the waiter came, he actually said, "Before we proceed, I'd like to ask a few questions about the position." She said, "You mean the date?" He said, "Same thing." The only position he got was blocked. Later, he told his friends he was just being professional. Sure, if dating was a corporate merger. The lesson: romance isn't an interview, and if you're using a resume to flirt, your next date will be with LinkedIn. 7. The guy who tried to impress a girl with magic and set his sleeve on fire. Magic tricks can be charming, unless you accidentally turn into a fire hazard. One guy tried to impress a girl at a party by performing a simple illusion. He lit a napkin on fire, intending to make it vanish. Instead, his sleeve vanished in smoke. The girl screamed, someone threw beer on him, and he shouted, "It's part of the act." Spoiler, it wasn't. He spent the rest of the night smelling like roasted polyester and explaining to paramedics that it was a romantic demonstration of passion. The video hit TikTok under the caption, "Fireboy and Dumb Girl." The only magic that night was watching someone burn both their sleeve and their dignity. Lesson: if your flirting involves open flames, you're not being mysterious. You're auditioning for a safety video. 8. The man who sent a poem. Written entirely by ChatGPT. In the age of technology, some people let AI write their homework. This guy let it write his heart. Wanting to impress his crush, he asked ChatGPT to write the most romantic poem ever. He copied it word for word into a message and hit send, forgetting that it ended with "generated by OpenAI." The girl replied, "Did you just outsource your feelings to a robot?" He panicked and said, No, it's just a metaphor." She wasn't buying it. She posted the message on Twitter with the caption, "Even the bots are tired of modern dating." It went viral. The guy later told friends, "At least my poem got engagement. True, just not the kind that comes with a ring." Moral: if you can't express your feelings without a help menu, maybe love isn't in beta testing yet. 9. The gym flirt who thought spotting was a love language. At every gym, there's that guy, the one who treats the squat rack like a dating app. He saw a woman lifting weights and decided to help by standing 2 inches behind her, whispering motivational quotes like, "I'll never let you fall, emotionally or physically." When she said she didn't need a spotter, he doubled down. "No worries, I'll just watch for safety." Congratulations, sir. You just invented romantic surveillance. Eventually, a trainer escorted him out, and he dramatically yelled, "You can't ban love," as he was led away. The woman later joked online, he spotted his way straight into the parking lot. The moral: if your flirting includes phrases like, "I'll be right behind you," you're not being smooth. You're being a background character in a gym horror story. 10. The guy who tried to impress a girl with his pet tiger. Nothing says date material like felony-level confidence. A man in Florida told a woman he owned a tiger, not a cat, a literal tiger, and invited her over to see it. She agreed, curious and mildly terrified. When she arrived, the tiger was a large orange tabby cat wearing paper ears taped to its head. He had even printed a fake zoo certificate that said, "Certified Emotional Support Tiger." The cat looked as mortified as the woman felt. When she started laughing, he doubled down, saying, "He's just smaller because of the winter." She left, the cat hid, and the internet gained another legend. The takeaway: never pretend to own a tiger unless you're ready for animal control, public ridicule, and a very disappointed feline. 11. The man who tried to write his number on her coffee cup, mid-latte. This one's a caffeinated disaster. A guy saw a woman sipping her latte and decided to make his move. Instead of waiting for a normal moment, he grabbed her cup while she was drinking it and started writing his number on it with a Sharpie. The result? Coffee everywhere, confusion, and one ruined white blouse. He tried to recover by saying, "It's destiny. Now you'll always remember me." She replied, "Yeah, I'll remember the dry cleaning bill." The barista banned him for aggressive marketing. He told his friends he was romantically spontaneous. No, buddy, that's just vandalism with foam art. Moral: if your flirting ruins someone's caffeine ritual, you're not shooting your shot. You're committing beverage assault. 12. The guy who used a fake accent for an entire date. He wanted to sound mysterious. She wanted a normal conversation. He showed up speaking in a thick British accent, despite being from Ohio. He introduced himself as Nigel, ordered fish and chips, and said things like, "Cheerio, darling," with the confidence of a man who's never been to London but once watched Harry Potter. Everything was going fine until the waiter, his high school friend where he route, came over and said, "Bro, what's with the accent?" The illusion shattered instantly. He panicked, dropped the fake voice mid-sentence, and tried to explain it as a social experiment. She said, "Great, I'm experimenting with leaving." Lesson learned. If your personality requires subtitles, maybe just show up as yourself. 13. The romantic who tried to spell love with candles and triggered a fire alarm. Nothing sets the mood like emergency sprinklers. A man planned to surprise his girlfriend with a romantic gesture by arranging candles on the floor to spell love. It looked sweet for about 2 minutes, until one candle tipped over, setting off the fire alarm for the entire apartment building. Neighbors evacuated in pajamas while he stood there, holding a half-burned candle and a very public lesson in irony. When firefighters arrived, they asked what happened, and he said, "I was just trying to express love." The captain replied, "Well, you really lit up the building." His girlfriend later said, "It was romantic until I was standing outside in my slippers watching him explain romance to the fire department." Moral: love burns, just not literally. 14. The man who tried to win a girl by beating her at trivia night. He thought intelligence was sexy, but mostly his own. During a bar trivia night, a man noticed a woman on the opposing team and decided the best way to flirt was to crush her intellectually. He corrected her answers loudly, mocked her team's score, and ended every round by shouting, "Still single, by the way." When she finally beat him in the final round, he demanded a rematch and claimed her victory was statistically suspicious. She told him, "You lost. Get over it." He said, "I can't lose twice. Once at trivia, once in love." He did. The host gave him a consolation beer, which he drank alone. Lesson: no one ever fell in love with the guy who yells "actually" before every sentence. 15. The guy who tried to impress a girl with his influencer status. In the golden age of delusion, one man introduced himself to a woman at a bar with, "You might know me. I'm kind of famous on TikTok." She asked, "Oh, what's your content?" He said, "Mainly motivational stuff," which turned out to be videos of him staring into the camera saying, "You're beautiful. Yes, you." He had 37 followers. When she looked him up mid-conversation, she said, "You're right. I do know you. You're the guy who comments on his own posts." He tried to recover by saying he was building a brand. She replied, "You're building a red flag." Moral: real charisma doesn't need followers, hashtags, or ring lights. Just a personality that doesn't require buffering. 16. The guy who tried to serenade a stranger at karaoke night. There's a fine line between romantic and public disturbance, and this man sprinted across it in full confidence. During karaoke night at a small-town bar, he spotted a woman in the crowd and declared she was his muse. He dedicated a song to her, "My Heart Will Go On." The problem? He didn't know any of the lyrics past "near, far," so he improvised, loudly. His version included lines like, "Your eyes are like stuff," and "Love is a boat or something." The crowd applauded, not for him, but because the host mercifully cut the mic. The woman smiled politely, then left halfway through verse 2. Later, he told his friends she felt the connection. She probably felt secondhand embarrassment. The moral: serenades only work when you can sing, and maybe when your audience didn't just order nachos for a quiet night out. 17. The romantic who used a skywriter and misspelled her name. Grand gestures are risky. This one was catastrophic. A man hired a skywriter to spell out "Marry me, Jessica" over the beach, except her name was Vanessa. As hundreds of people on the sand started cheering for poor Jessica, Vanessa stood there in disbelief, realizing her boyfriend had just proposed to someone else, publicly and grammatically wrong. He tried to recover, shouting, "It's a nickname." It wasn't. A stranger filmed the entire disaster, and the clip went viral under hashtag Jessica Says No. To make it worse, the pilot charged him full price for the emotional turbulence. Lesson learned: check the spelling before you take your proposal airborne. Nothing kills romance faster than a 30-foot typo. 18. The man who tried to flirt through a PowerPoint presentation. Some people use pickup lines. This guy used Microsoft Office. He invited a coworker to a little surprise in the conference room where he'd set up a full projector. The presentation title? Why You Should Date Me, a 12-slide case study. He had pie charts comparing himself to her ex, a slide on emotional ROI, and a bullet point list of his core romantic competencies. It ended with a poorly animated heart transition. When she said she wasn't interested, he tried to play the next slide labeled rebuttals. HER saw it before the Q&A. The presentation got deleted, and he got a formal warning for unauthorized use of company equipment in pursuit of love. The moral: if your flirting involves Excel spreadsheets, the only formula you're solving is for loneliness. 19. The guy who tried to breakdance his way into a relationship. Some men write poetry, others moonwalk through heartbreak. At a friend's wedding, one overly confident guest decided to impress a bridesmaid with his killer breakdancing skills. He cleared the dance floor, dropped to the ground, and began what could only be described as interpretive thrashing. Halfway through a spinning move, his pants split loudly, revealing bright SpongeBob boxers. The room erupted in laughter. Instead of recovering gracefully, he doubled down, yelling, "It's part of the routine!" before attempting a backflip that ended with him hugging the floor. The bridesmaid clapped, mostly out of concern. The moment was immortalized in the wedding video under the title, "Breakdancer and Pants Down." Moral: confidence is attractive, but gravity always wins. 20. The guy who tried to flirt by guessing her zodiac sign. Astrology is supposed to reveal compatibility, not catastrophic guessing. At a coffee shop, this man told a woman, "I can tell your sign just by your vibe." She said, "Go ahead." He looked her up and down and said, "You're definitely a Libra." She replied, "I'm a Scorpio." He panicked, said, "Yeah, that's what I meant. You've got Libra energy, but Scorpio undertones." She smirked, "Wow, you're fluent in nonsense." Desperate to recover, he opened his phone to a horoscope app and began confirming their cosmic connection by comparing their moon signs incorrectly. When she walked away, he whispered, "Classic Scorpio behavior." The moral: if your flirting depends on guessing birth charts, you're not reading the stars, you're reading your own delusion. 21. The romantic who tried to impress a girl by predicting the future. Some people use intuition. This guy used sheer imagination. He met a woman at a party and told her he was a little psychic. She laughed, so he decided to prove it. "I bet your favorite color is turquoise." It wasn't. "Okay, maybe green?" Still wrong. "Fine," he said, sweating. "I bet you're a Sagittarius with a secret passion for salsa dancing." She was a Capricorn who hated dancing. Finally, he said, "I predict you'll fall for me by midnight." 10 minutes later, she left with his roommate. The man later posted online, "My prediction came true. She fell for someone." Technically, that's 1% accuracy. The moral: pretending to be psychic is cute until the universe itself decides to fact-check you. 22. The man who tried to flirt using a guitar he couldn't play. There's something undeniably romantic about a guy with a guitar, unless he's holding it like a confused lumberjack. This aspiring Romeo brought his acoustic guitar to a park where his crush was reading and said, "Mind if I play you something I wrote?" She said sure, probably expecting Wonderwall. Instead, she got 40 seconds of chaotic string noises and a single lyric. "Girl? Yeah, girl." He strummed harder, breaking a string, then declared, "It's abstract, like love." A small child clapped. A dog howled. His crush politely said, "That was brave," and left before he could tune again. He later told his friends he made her emotional. He wasn't wrong, just the wrong emotion. Moral: if your guitar solo sounds like a garbage disposal, maybe skip the serenade and stick to Spotify. 23. The romantic who tried to confess his feelings through mime words failed him, so he decided to mime his emotions. He showed up at his crush's window wearing full white face paint, a striped shirt, and an invisible box full of bad decisions. For 10 minutes, he pretended to hand her a fake flower, then acted out a heart-beating fast by slapping his chest dramatically. She thought it was a break-in. When she called out, "Who are you?" he responded silently by pretending to cry. The neighbors called the cops. By the time he wiped off the paint, he'd learned 2 lessons. 1. Mimes don't translate well in real life. And 2. Love doesn't need words, but it does need context. The moral? If your grand romantic gesture makes people dial 911, it's not art. It's a public disturbance. 24. The guy who tried to impress a girl by ordering in French at a Taco Bell. This linguistic Casanova thought speaking French made him irresistible. So, when his date suggested Taco Bell, he turned it into the French Riviera of fast food. Bonjour, he told the cashier. Je voudrais a Crunch Wrap Supreme. The teenager at the register blinked and said, "What?" He repeated it, louder, with hand gestures that looked like he was directing traffic. His date whispered, "You know this is Taco Bell, right?" He winked and said, "It's called class." Then he tried to say Diet Coke in French, and somehow ended up ordering a Mountain Dew Freeze. The cashier said, "Bro, just point at the menu." His date lost it laughing. He left a $2 tip, thinking it would seal the deal. Spoiler, it sealed the cringe. Lesson: if you're flirting in French, pick a restaurant with tablecloths, not drive-thrus. 25. The guy who sent 47 texts before getting a reply, and then blew it. Patience is a virtue. This man had none. After meeting a girl at a concert, he texted her that night, "Hey." When she didn't reply, he assumed maybe she didn't see it. So he sent another, and another. By message 47, he had written a full emotional arc, from "Hey" to "Are you ignoring me?" to "Fine, I didn't want to talk anyway," followed immediately by "But seriously, what did I do wrong?" The next morning, she finally replied, "Hey, sorry, I was asleep." He celebrated prematurely and sent, "See? I knew fate would bring us together." She read it and never responded again. Moral: if your conversation looks like a hostage negotiation with yourself, maybe it's time to let fate and your phone battery rest in peace. 26. The guy who tried to flirt by doing parkour. When logic fails, acrobatics apparently prevail. This guy thought nothing said date material, like jumping over public benches in front of a woman walking her dog. He yelled, "Check this out!" sprinted toward a trash can, and attempted a front flip. The can stayed upright. He didn't. He landed in the grass, gasping. "Did that look cool?" She said, "It looked painful." The dog licked his face out of pity. He limped away, clutching his pride and one bruised knee. Later, he posted the clip online with the caption, "Chicks dig athletes." The internet disagreed. Lesson: parkour isn't a flirting style. It's a medical deductible waiting to happen. 27. The man who proposed to a stranger on live TV. For our grand finale, we have a masterclass in public humiliation. During a televised baseball game, a man got down on one knee in the stands, but not for his girlfriend, for a woman he'd just met that day. The camera zoomed in as he shouted, "Destiny brought us together." Her response? "Security!" The crowd booed, the mascot facepalmed, and the clip became a viral sensation titled, "She Said No Before He Asked." When interviewed later, he said, "I was just following my heart." His heart apparently was drunk and directionless. Moral: love at first sight is sweet in movies. In real life, it's just grounds for an awkward highlight reel. And there you have it, 27 pickup attempts that should be preserved in a climate-controlled vault of regret. Which one deserves its own warning label? Drop your favorite disaster in the comments. And remember, flirting is an art, but not everyone should paint.